Hey history enthusiasts, in today's deep dive we're stepping into the mud-caked boots of a young Marine during the brutal Guadalcanal landing, the Allies' first major Pacific offensive. The jungle pulses with unseen threats, the rain falls in biblical proportions, and you're about to discover the enemy doesn't always announce itself with uniforms. Before you drift off, hit like and subscribe, but only if gritty World War II narratives are your jam. Drop a comment with your hometown and current time. I'm always amazed how these slow-burn war stories march across time zones. Now settle in. Let your pulse slow. We're time traveling. No breaking news. Just the raw human moments that forged a generation. You're 19, maybe 20. You've endured boot camp hell, mastered drills through repetition, and now you're packed shoulder to shoulder in a landing craft reeking of damp canvas and pre-battle jitters. The metal deck vibrates beneath your boots as it churns toward jungle you'd never heard of before this war, Guadalcanal. Sounds like some tropical resort, right? That fantasy lasts exactly 3 seconds after the ramp crashes down. The atmosphere assaults you first. Thick, wet heat clinging like a soaked blanket trying to suffocate you. You lurch forward with your pack digging trenches into your spine and rifle clanking against the guy ahead. The beach feels deceptive, boots sinking through soft sand into glue-like mud. And the jungle? Those aren't trees. They're living barriers. Towering, buzzing walls hiding more than they reveal. No gunfire greets you. Not yet. That's what messes with your head. You expected a hailstorm of bullets the moment your boots hit sand. Instead, there's just surf, cicadas, and your own heartbeat doing backflips. You crouch, advance, crouch again. The world's reduced to green and brown variations. Someone behind mutters, "It looks like the Everglades." You've never been to Florida, but you're pretty sure Florida doesn't smell like mildew mixed with diesel exhaust. Orders come to push inland, secure the perimeter. Sounds simple until you realize there is no perimeter. Just endless vegetation that swallows sound and vines that grab like skeletal fingers. You step carefully, treating every leaf as a potential booby trap. Behind you, a snapped twig makes everyone freeze. First jungle lesson. Silence can be the deadliest ambush. The locals, what few remain, move like spirits. Charred huts, abandoned fishing nets, lives left behind in haste. Rumor says the Japanese were building an airfield here before retreating at your approach. Command calls it a victory. What they don't mention, the mosquitoes, or that retreated doesn't mean gone, just better at hiding. The humidity punches your lungs. Your uniform sticks like wet papier-mâché. You vaguely recall drill instructors yelling about keeping gear dry. The thought almost makes you laugh now. Nothing stays dry here. Not your socks. Not your rifle. Not whatever's left of your spirit, if you're being honest. That first night, sleep doesn't come. Not really. You lie in your hastily dug foxhole, shaped more like a child's sandcastle than a defensive position, trying to ignore the rustling, distant machine gun coughs, and the guy 2 holes over whispering prayers to the darkness. The stars overhead burn with indifference. Something scurries over your pack, palm wrap probably, and you tense, hand flying to your rifle, breath held. Someone mutters, "Welcome to the show." And yeah, that about sums it up. Dawn brings little improvement. Rations should have arrived, but supply lines are chaos. You get mystery meat in a tin and crackers resembling plaster. Coffee, only if you brought your own water, which you didn't. You make do with lukewarm canteen sips and half a cigarette traded for chocolate last week. Your mission, secure Henderson Field. Currently, it's just a dirt scar in the jungle, but it's the island's crown jewel. Control the airstrip, control the skies. Control the skies. Maybe you live to see 21. That's the theory anyway. You advance again, sweat rivers tracing your spine. Every branch scrapes your helmet. Every shadow could hide a sniper. You pass a rusted Japanese truck abandoned last week, reeking of gasoline and ashes. A squad mate climbs in, joking about his new bachelor pad. Nobody laughs. Gunfire cracks in the distance. Everyone freezes. It stops. No screams. No orders. Just the jungle pretending not to notice. Lesson 2. This island gives no answers. Just more questions disguised as noise. You crest a ridge and finally see it, Henderson Field. It's underwhelming. Just a mangled stretch of dirt with some tents and crates, manned by Marines who look as exhausted as you feel. But it's yours now. Allegedly. No flag-raising heroics. No grand ceremony. You're handed a shovel and ordered to dig drainage before the afternoon monsoon. Welcome to glory. You learn Guadalcanal has 3 rains. The mist that makes your skin feel rubberized, the sideways daggers that fill your helmet in minutes, and the thunderous downpours that make you forget what dry ever meant. That afternoon, you get all 3. Your ditch floods before completion. You sit in the mud, shirt clinging like wet newsprint, trying not to think about your mother's kitchen back home. Night falls heavier here. The jungle breathes louder. Trees sway without wind. You clean your rifle by touch, light a match with trembling hands, stare into the flame too long. You're here now. The airfield at your back, endless jungle ahead, and somewhere beyond the rustling leaves, outside flashlight range, someone's watching. And the odds? Let's just say Vegas wouldn't take that bet. You quickly learn Guadalcanal doesn't care about your training, your commander's medals, or your hometown sweetheart. The island has its own chain of command, and at the top, the jungle. You rank somewhere below the fire ants. It starts with your boots, laced tight and polished when you landed. Now just 2 waterlogged sponges housing your disintegrating feet. You air them out one night, and by dawn they've grown fuzzy white mold and smell like fermented fruit. Jungle rot, they call it. Sounds cute, like a grandma's cookie ingredient. Give it a week, and you'll recognize the hobble of a man whose toes are dissolving in their own sweat. Next, your gear. Metal rusts like it's racing for gold. Your rifle gains weight, not from bullets, but because the sling's gone slimy and the barrel keeps jamming with grit. You clean it religiously, obsessively. Your buddy jokes you polish your rifle more than your teeth. He's not wrong. Dental hygiene currently ranks below "don't get eaten alive by insects" on your priority list. Speaking of bugs, let's talk. Actually, no, just listen. Hear that? That constant electric hum? Not static. That's the island's background score. Cicadas, flies, gnats, invisible things crawling into your sleeves at 2 a.m. Mosquitoes headline the show, big, slow, and vicious. Some you can sweat like fruit flies. Others resemble flying syringes. You've got repellent, sure. Smells like turpentine and works just as well. Some guys smear themselves with mud. One tried cigarette ash. You opt for the tucked-in, collar-up approach, like a New Yorker summer attire. If New York came with free malaria. Ah yes, malaria. Nobody mentions it until it strikes. And then they don't mention it because the victims are too busy shaking like wet dogs and sweating through their cots. One morning, a squad mate wakes up convinced he's in a blizzard, screaming for his winter coat. It's 90 degrees. The medics nod like this is standard. Probably is. You start choking down atabrine tablets. Neon yellow pills tasting like licking a battery terminal, staining your tongue highlighter yellow. Some guys fake swallowing them to avoid side effects. Your corporal threatens to personally throat punch them into you if you skip again. You believe him. Water becomes sacred science. Boil it, filter it, poison it with purification tablets. Say 3 Hail Marys, whatever works. Still, half the time it tastes like swamp water. The other half gives you what the men politely call canal quickstep. Nobody discusses it, but everyone hears the symphony behind the trees. Then there's the smell. You're not sure when you first noticed it, but the air carries this permanent funk now. A cocktail of wet vegetation, mildew, diesel fumes, and something sour underneath. Maybe it's your equipment rotting. Maybe it's you. Maybe it's just the jungle reminding you that you're an unwelcome guest in its domain. Your uniform begins disintegrating thread by thread. Seams unravel, buttons disappear into the mud, and the fabric itself seems to dissolve under the constant assault of sweat, rain, and friction. You patch holes with tape, string, even leaves when desperate. Nobody looks parade ready anymore. The press photos back home probably show crisp uniforms and squared-away Marines. Here, you all look like extras from a low-budget apocalypse film. You quickly realize rest is a myth here. Even when you're not on patrol, standing watch, or digging new trenches, your mind races at full throttle. Every rustle could mean danger. Every bird call might be a signal. Sleep comes in stolen fragments. You learn to doze with one eye open and your finger resting beside the trigger. Some guys sleep with helmets pulled down like turtle shells. You try it. Doesn't help. There's a word for what's happening to you, though nobody says it aloud. Attrition. But not the kind with bullets and bayonets. This is the slow grind. The daily erosion of strength, morale, sanity. The war doesn't need to shoot you. It can just wait you out. Yet the orders keep coming. Secure this ridge. Dig new positions. Clear the jungle eastward. You nod. Follow commands. Sweat through everything you own. You start measuring time not in hours or days, but in ruined socks. You're on your 5th pair, by the way. Number 6 is already damp and waiting its turn. Then one afternoon, the rain stops. Just briefly. A strange golden light filters through the canopy, and you've almost forgotten what sunlight feels like. You pause mid-step, rifle hanging loose, and tilt your head back. Just for a second. The silence feels unnatural. You wonder if the enemy feels this moment too. If somewhere in that green hell, a Japanese soldier is doing this exact same thing. That's when you hear it, a soft slithering. You freeze. No gunfire, no shouting. Just a slow slide through the undergrowth. You scan the trees. Nothing. Then you lower your gaze, and there it is. A snake. Thick, long, moving with casual arrogance. It glides past like a living insult and disappears into the green. Later, someone claims the natives made snake repellent from crushed leaves and crocodile dung. You don't ask where to find either. You just add, don't sleep near anything smelling like reptile crap to your mental survival list. Night falls again. You're back in your foxhole, gear arranged just so, eyes locked on the black trailing. The jungle's nighttime chorus resumes. Your feet itch. Something howls in the distance. Maybe a macaque, maybe a ghost. Hard to tell out here. Historians still debate whether Guadalcanal's early weeks followed some grand strategy or were just desperate improvisation. Some say planners underestimated the terrain. Others think they knew exactly what they were doing and just didn't tell you. The truth? Depends who you ask. But down here in the mud, with your socks rotting and rations tasting like wet cardboard, it feels like the island's winning. Not with bullets, with sweat. And yet, you stay. Because Henderson Field still needs guarding. Because the war won't pause for your comfort. And because tomorrow, you might be the one who hears that twig snap and gets to shoot first. You don't see them at first. The Japanese, they're like smoke, present, then gone. Heard but never seen. Your orders say, engage when necessary. But most days, there's nothing to engage except the jungle itself. You start wondering if the enemy's even real, or if this is just some cosmic game of hide-and-seek with ghosts who know the terrain better than you know your own rifle. The first confirmed sighting happens during a patrol through vine-choked palms so thick it feels like wading through kelp. Your squad's been moving for hours, boots slipping on slick roots, every third step punctuated by hissed warnings. Then the point man freezes and throws up a clenched fist. The whole line drops like dominoes. You're face down in the mud, heart hammering, wondering if this is it, your first real firefight. You don't see much, just a flicker of movement, maybe a sleeve vanishing behind a tree, maybe sunlight glinting off metal. Could have been a trick of the light, could have been a scout, but you mark it. You know what you saw, or you think you do. The lieutenant whispers down the line, stay sharp, as if you weren't already wound tight enough to snap. Nobody fires. That's the thing. No shooting, no shouting. Just awareness. Like the jungle inhaled deeply and decided to wait. Later that night, on perimeter watch, moonlight filters through the canopy in jagged strips, as if the trees are dangling a disco ball with malicious intent. You scan the tree lean, rifle balanced on your knees, every nerve wired tight. Something rustles. Your safety clicks off. It's just a rat. Or maybe a lizard. Lately, they seem to travel in pairs. Someone once said war is 99% boredom and 1% sheer terror. On Guadalcanal, you learn the boredom isn't peaceful, it's electric. It crackles. Even when nothing's happening, your body stays primed, tensed for a shot that might never come. 2 days later, it does. It begins at dawn. A single shot, sharp, distant, intentional. Then silence. You jerk upright in your foxhole, half asleep, a cold can of peaches clutched in your hand. Then a second shot. Closer. Then shouting. Not American. Then all hell breaks loose. You're on your feet, rifle up, helmet strapped, brain struggling to catch up. The jungle erupts, rifles chattering, machine guns growling, maybe a grenade or two. Chaos. But you don't see them. That's what gets you. You're returning fire, crouched behind a log that may or may not stop bullets, and the enemy remains invisible. Somewhere in that green hell, they're moving like phantoms. One of your guys gets hit. Not fatally, he's cursing too much for that, but bad enough to stop moving. You and another Marine drag him back to safety, crawling through vines that grab at your sleeves like they're trying to help the enemy. You make it. He'll live. The corpseman gets to work. You're shaking. Your hands smell like gunpowder in fear. You tell yourself you did okay. You're still here. You didn't freeze. That's what matters, right? Except that night. You dream you're trapped in the jungle, rifle jammed, unable to see or move. You wake up sweating. Not the first time. Won't be the last. The strange part? You start respecting them. The enemy. However they're doing this. They know this island. They understand the silence. They move at night, never staying put, never making noise unless they want you to hear. It's like playing chess during a hurricane, against someone who memorized the board blindfolded. Rumors circulate that they dig spider holes and wait motionless for hours, that they wrap cloth around their boots to muffle footsteps, that some climb trees and live up there, dropping behind patrols like nightmares made flesh. The truth? Depends who you ask. But now every shadow becomes suspect. On another patrol, a Marine swears he saw a face in the trees. Didn't shoot. Didn't tell anyone. 2 hours later, you're ambushed from the left flank. Coincidence? Maybe. Maybe not. Nobody blames him. Nobody says a word. Because by now, you all know how easily your eyes can lie out here. Some scholars question whether the Marines truly understood enemy tactics in those early weeks. Reports went up the chain, sure, but whether command grasped them is another story. Officially, you're advancing. Unofficially, you're treading water in a forest that refuses to hold still. A grim joke spreads. At least malaria doesn't shoot back. It's dark humor, but gets laughs around the cooking fire. If you can call a lukewarm can of pork and beans and a Zippo a cooking fire. One guy draws a cartoon in the dirt, a mosquito wearing a samurai helmet. You laugh harder than you should. You develop rituals, little routines to dull the edge. Tapping your helmet twice before patrol, tying your right boot tighter than your left, carrying the same stick of gum for weeks, never chewing it. It's not superstition. It's survival, dressed up as habit. Then one evening, you're back on the line, watching the treeline breathe when you hear a whistle. Low, rising, then silence. You don't even have time to duck before the explosion kicks dirt 6 feet in front of you. Mortars. Just a few rounds. A reminder that they know exactly where you are. You spend the night digging deeper, roofing your foxhole with palm fronds like some primitive hut. It rains again. Of course it does. The mud soaks through your pants, your skin, your last shreds of hope. You curl under your poncho and try to remember what dry felt like. You try not to think about Japanese soldiers possibly 50 feet away, maybe less. You try not to think at all. By now, you've stopped checking your watch. Time moves sideways here. Days blur into nights, patrols into skirmishes. You forget the date. You forget what normal smells like. But you never forget that feeling, that tension, that static charge before the storm. The jungle keeps whispering. And this time, it's not just the trees. You stop dreaming in complete sentences. Now it's just flashes, wet boots, muzzle flashes, the jungle folding in on itself like it's watching you. You're not sure when the line between awake and asleep blurred, but the foxhole feels no different from your nightmares now. Maybe it's the heat, maybe the quinine, maybe the island whispering that it owns you. The mosquitoes haven't let up. Neither has the dysentery, or the rain. But now there's a new guest in your rotation of miseries. Fever, a slow, heavy burn creeping up your spine and settling behind your eyes like an unwelcome house guest. At first you think it's dehydration. Then the chills come. Then the shakes. Then your vision blurs just a second too long when you stand. You're not alone. Half your platoon looks glassy-eyed and pale. The corpsman's running low on salt tablets and curses. He mutters about dengue fever and gives you salt water that tastes like a beach towel. Doesn't help. You lie in your hole at night, skin clammy, breathing shallow, wondering how your body keeps losing water when you're literally surrounded by it. One night, you hallucinate a vine offering to shake your hand. You nearly offer it a cigarette before remembering vines don't smoke. You laugh to yourself, then cough for 3 straight minutes. You've seen the medical tents. White canvas stained brown from weeks of storms. Inside, men lie on stretchers too weak to sit up. Some have been there so long their uniforms fuse to their skin. You visited once, helping carry a guy who couldn't walk. The smell hit like a punch, antiseptic and rotting flesh. You haven't volunteered since. Nobody talks about the ones who go quiet. The ones who stop eating, stop speaking, stare into the canopy like it holds answers. Some get shipped home. Some don't. One corporal from another unit just walked into the jungle one night. Left his gear behind. They never found him. Some say he snapped. Some say he saw something. The truth? Depends who asks. Historians still debate whether psychological casualties on Guadalcanal were underreported or just misunderstood. Back then, you were shell-shocked or battle-fatigued. Or more often, just told to suck it up. And you try. You really do. You find ways to cope. You invent games with the guys. Not fun ones. Just distractions. One involves betting who'll catch the next rat in their foxhole. Another's naming all 50 states backward. You can't. You can barely name them forward now. You even invent a religion called Mudism. Its only tenet: if it's dry, it's sacred. You almost build a shrine from dry socks. Almost. There's a running joke that the jungle has a sense of humor. Every time someone says, "At least it's not raining," it pours within the hour. You've tested this 3 times. Perfect record. You stop saying it aloud. Just think it and wait. Then come the nights when everything goes silent. No frogs. No birds. Just stillness. The veterans say that's when you worry. Nature only shuts up for 2 reasons: a coming storm or an ambush. One you can hide from. The other finds you. Your foxhole becomes your universe. It's barely long enough to stretch out, barely deep enough to matter. You line it with whatever's handy. Canvas scraps, palm leaves, fading optimism. One guy 2 holes over finds a crate and builds a seat. You envy him like he's a king on a throne. You try journaling once. Just a few words scratched on a ration box. Still here. Still sweating. Miss peanut butter. Then you stop. Feels too dangerous, like writing makes it all real. So you talk instead. Mostly to yourself. Sometimes to your rifle. Once to a toad that wouldn't stop blinking at you. You named him Sergeant Croak. He's since deserted. Mail call becomes sacred. When ships get through and weather cooperates, letters arrive, clutched in shaking hands, opened with reverence. You don't care if it's 3 weeks old. You read every word like scripture. One Marine got a Dear John letter. His girl married his best friend. He laughed, then didn't speak for 2 days. Another got a cookie, miraculously intact. He didn't eat it, just smelled it for a week, like a relic from civilization. You start counting the days since you've seen the enemy. 6, then 7, then 8. No gunfire, no movement, just the jungle playing innocent. It doesn't comfort you. It puts you on edge. You know they're still out there, watching, waiting. Maybe they're sick too. Maybe they're starving. Maybe they're wondering why you haven't cracked yet. One morning, a scout finds fresh footprints near camp. Japanese boot patterns. Maybe 2, maybe 3 men. The camp goes on alert. Rifles loaded, fingers twitchy. For a whole day, nothing happens. Then that night, someone spots metal glinting in moonlight and opens fire. 10 rounds. All misses. You spend the rest of the night expecting payback that never comes. By dawn, the tension's a knot in your gut, but still no attack. Just more heat, more sweat, more questions without answers. One corporal swears he heard Japanese soldiers laughing in the dark. They're toying with us, he says, waiting until we're too tired to fight. Maybe he's right, or maybe he's just sleep-deprived. Either way, you can't shake the feeling something's coming. You start dreaming of things that don't exist here. Hot showers, dry towels, clean socks. Once you dream of pancakes, you wake up crying. Just a little. The war hasn't broken you yet, but it's trying. And the jungle? Still watching, still waiting, still whispering that it doesn't care who wins. It just wants you gone. You don't remember exactly when Henderson Field started feeling like home, but somehow, in all the chaos, it did. Not the good kind of home. More like the leaky shack with a snake in the sink kind, but still, it's yours. You defend it. You bleed for it. You even love it, in the same twisted way you might love an old scar. It hurts, but it's part of you now. When you first saw Henderson, it looked like a joke, a muddy strip of dirt barely long enough to launch a toy plane. Now, months in, it's grown. Not much, but enough. The Seabees have patched the runway with steel mats, and there's always at least one wildcat circling overhead or limping in on fumes. The airfield is the island's pulse. If it stops, you stop. Every day, someone's shouting about keeping Henderson open. It's the mission, the chant, the thread holding this whole mess together. You're told again and again, lose Henderson, lose the island. You believe it, mostly because if you didn't, all the starving and sweating would feel pointless. The Japanese believe it too. You don't know how many times they've tried to take it back, but it's more than you can count. They attack at night, always. Sometimes with mortars, sometimes with infantry, sometimes both. They come screaming through the trees, bayonets high, voices sharp enough to freeze your spine. And you? You crouch behind sandbags and mud walls, finger on the trigger, praying you see them before they see you. One night, they almost break through. It's chaos. Flashlights flicker, flares burst overhead, tracers slice through the dark like angry fireflies. You see a Japanese soldier for half a second, just his eyes above a blade, and then he's gone. Maybe he's still out there. Maybe he's not. You never find out. You never want to. The Marines near the airfield get used to engine sounds, friendly and not. The Wildcats growl like alley cats. The Japanese Zeros whine like dentist drills from hell. When the Zeros come, you run for the trenches. Henderson's anti-air is a joke, just a few .50 calories and wishful thinking. When bombs fall, you press your face into the dirt and hope the crater lands on someone else's foxhole. One day, a Zero strafes the runway. Bullets shred a tent and scatter Marines like ants under a boot. You're 10 feet away, ducking behind a fuel drum you later realize might as well have been a bomb. Afterward, someone draws a chalk outline around it and labels it Lucky Barrel Number 2. Nobody laughs, but everyone touches it on the way to chow for a week. Speaking of chow, if you can call it that, nothing's improved. You're still living on sea rations and whatever doesn't get sunk on the way here. A crate of tinned peaches once caused a near brawl. Spam is currency. Real bread? Forget it. You've eaten enough hardtack to pave a sidewalk. When the Navy tries to get fancy and sends powdered eggs, they taste like wet chalk mixed with regret. You make it work. One Marine mixes instant coffee with hot sauce and claims it clears the sinuses. Another turns his helmet into a frying pan and cooks whatever moves near the tents. Once, someone catches a crab the size of a football and roasts it over a fire using fuel rations. Tastes like gasoline. Still better than powdered eggs. But Henderson isn't just a lifeline. It's a symbol. Planes land and take off. That means supplies. That means contact with the outside world. That means maybe, just maybe, you haven't been forgotten. You look up every time an engine whines and wonder where it came from. Australia? New Caledonia? Home. You see pilots sometimes. Sunburned, grinning, swaggering like they're made of luck and good timing. They call you grunts and trade cigarettes for stories. You try not to envy them, but it's hard. They get to leave. You don't. They touch the sky. You touch mud. Still, when the planes go up, you cheer. Every bomb dropped on a Japanese barge is one less that reaches the beach. Every dogfight won means one more night without a raid. It's not just air cover. It's hope, delivered at 300 miles per hour. And you need hope, because every night, the jungle tests you again. It starts the same. A rustle, a snap, then silence. Then a flare shoots up, white and furious, and the jungle lights up like a horror set. Shapes move. Shadows dart. Guns roar. Sometimes they're charging straight at you. Other times, they're probing, testing the wire, looking for weak spots. You lie there, cheek pressed to the dirt, sweat soaking your back, and think about all the things you haven't said. To your parents, to your girl, to yourself. Then you hear the mortars. Thump, thump, pause, whistle, boom. You count the seconds between thump and boom like it's a game. It helps. Sort of. The rounds land close, then closer. You curl tighter, body rigid. When it ends, you open your eyes and realize you never closed them. One night, you man a listening post 50 yards beyond the perimeter. You're supposed to stay still and silent. You do. For 6 hours. You hear rustling, always to the left. You call it in. They say noted. You wait. You hear footsteps. Maybe 2. Maybe 3. You raise your rifle. You don't fire. The footsteps fade. The rustling stops. You don't sleep after that. Some historians say the fight for Henderson Field turned the Pacific War. It's a neat phrase for an ugly truth. The reality? You were just trying to survive each night. One shovel of mud at a time. One busted can of beans at a time. One flare at a time. The line holds. Barely, but it holds. And so do you. Not because you're strong, but because the guy next to you hasn't quit either. You glance at him. He's asleep, mouth open, hugging his helmet like a teddy bear. You look back at the trees. Still breathing. Still watching. Still waiting. The morning the Navy leaves is quiet in all the wrong ways. No ceremony. No bugles. No shouted orders. Just the low rumble of landing craft slipping away toward the horizon, leaving behind a smear of smoke and a group of Marines who suddenly feel very, very small. You watch them go, rifle slung loose over your shoulder, sweat already running down your back like it forgot it's not even 9 a.m. yet. A few guys stare after the ships, jaws tight. One corporal mutters, "Guess we're the plan now." No one laughs. He's not wrong. You weren't told ahead of time. That's what stings. One day, you've got naval gunfire backing you up. The next, you've got nothing but jungle and hope. The Navy pulled out after a brutal night battle, left the supply lines gutted, and the Japanese thinking maybe this island is theirs after all. With the ships gone, rations thinned fast. 1 meal a day, sometimes 2 if you're lucky. The coffee's stretched so thin it tastes like brown water. The powdered milk's more rumor than reality. And toilet paper? Forget it. Jungle leaves become your only option, which is exactly as pleasant as it sounds. That same week, the temperature spikes. The humidity wraps around you like a wet towel someone forgot to wring out. Everything smells stronger. Your gear, your squad mates, the latrines. You feel it seep into your skin, into your bones. Like the island's trying to dissolve you from the inside. And still, the orders keep coming. Hold the line. Watch the ridge. Secure the perimeter. You nod like it's the first time you've heard these words, though you've been living them for months. You dig a new trench in soil so waterlogged it squelches like pudding. You build firing positions from logs and sandbags that leak mud the second it rains, which, of course, is always. The Japanese don't let up. If anything, they double down. No full assaults yet, but you hear them. You feel them. Movement just beyond the trees. Twigs snapping in patterns that don't belong to animals. Flashes of movement you can't quite place. They're testing you, looking for weak spots. So you start counting things. Every bullet left in your pouch. Every step between your foxhole and the latrine. Every hour until sunrise. The numbers help. They give order to a world where time's lost all meaning. Your rifle becomes part of you. You sleep with it. You clean it obsessively, even when it's spotless. You whisper to it sometimes. Not in a crazy way. Just enough to remind yourself you're still here, still sane. Probably. Then come the whispers. Not yours. The jungle's. Voices in the dark that sound almost human. You sit up in your hole, listening. Can't tell if it's Japanese scouts or your own men talking in their sleep. One night, you hear singing. Soft. Off-key. Could be a trick. Could be someone losing it. You don't check. You just lie back down and stare at the canopy like it owes you answers. Your gear starts falling apart. Boots with soles flapping like cartoon mouths. Belts that won't buckle. A poncho that leaks in the one spot you actually need covered. You get creative. Wrap things in twine. Patch holes with tape. Make socks from shirt sleeves. Jungle fashion at its finest. One day, the mail comes. First time in weeks. A bag of damp, crumpled letters handed out by a corporal who looks like he hasn't slept since boot camp. You get two. One from your sister, updates about the neighbor's wedding and the family dog eating a pie. The other from your Navy buddy. Ironically, the same Navy that just left you here like yesterday's laundry. He writes about calm seas, dry bunks, and steak dinners. You don't finish that one. You reread your sister's letter until the ink smudges from your fingers. There's talk of reinforcements, talk of supplies, talk of a counterattack that'll push the Japanese back for good. It's always soon. Everything is soon. But for now, it's just you, your squad, and this stretch of steaming, stinking earth that dares you to survive another night. Someone suggests a morale board. Just a stick in the ground with scraps of good news. Like no trench foot today, or coffee didn't taste like swamp. You add a drawing of a palm tree wearing sunglasses. That gets a chuckle. Humor's thin these days, but you take what you can get. Then the rain returns in force. Not the light, polite kind. This is jungle rain. The kind that turns tents into swimming pools and weapons into rusted relics. You wake up half submerged, helmet floating beside you like it's given up too. You bail water with your mess kit, then give up and let your legs marinate. The storm washes away some of the barbed wire. You're sent to help restring it. Teams of two hauling coils through mud that sucks at your ankles like it wants to keep you. You slip once and slice your palm. Not deep, but enough to sting. The corpsman wraps it and hands you a lollipop. A joke, maybe. You don't care. You suck on it like it's medicine. Later that night, on watch, you see a figure at the edge of the clearing. Just standing there. Still. Tall. Helmeted. You raise your rifle. Whisper a challenge. No answer. You blink, and it's gone. Could have been a scout. Could have been your imagination. You don't wake the others. You just mark the spot, and don't look away for the rest of your shift. Some historians say the Marines held on through grit and strategy. Others say it was desperation. A few think it was dumb luck. The truth? Depends who you ask. But you're not thinking about that. You're just hoping tomorrow brings dry socks and no surprises. Eventually, the Japanese try again. This time at night. No warning. No flares. Just sudden gunfire and shouts. They hit the eastern perimeter, not far from Henderson. You and your squad burst from your holes like you've rehearsed this in nightmares, which you basically have. The fighting is fast and confused. Flashlights cut through smoke. Someone yells about a breach. You fire into the dark, barely seeing. Your ears ring from your own rifle's bark. Then silence. You don't know how long it lasted. Maybe minutes. Maybe hours. When the smoke clears, the line holds. Barely. You find a spent shell casing in your helmet and keep it as a souvenir. The corpsman tends to the wounded. Mostly scratches. One private twisted his ankle in the mud. Another's got a barbed wire cut on his cheek. Could have been worse. Could have been much worse. You sit against a sandbag wall, breathing in gunpowder and sweat, and the quiet realization that you're still here. Still standing. Still guarding that muddy strip of hope called Henderson Field. And somewhere beyond the trees, the jungle whispers again. But tonight, it sounds just a little quieter. You start noticing how silence doesn't mean safe anymore. In the jungle, quiet is a warning, a pressure in your chest telling you something's watching. Something's learning. And you trade it all for the sound of surf or a coughing wildcat engine overhead. But instead, it's just you, your breath, and the ever-listening trees. Your squad gets picked for a patrol east of the river, near a spot the maps call Sector Fox. Nobody knows why. It's not shaped like a fox, and you're pretty sure no one's seen one on the island anyway. Maybe it's a joke. Maybe it's just another way to make something terrible sound manageable. You move single file. Always. One step, pause. 2 steps, scan. Everyone's head's on a swivel. The jungle isn't loud, it's layered. Cicadas, distant birds, the snap of twigs, the occasional monkey howling like a drunk uncle. You breathe through your mouth to keep your ears sharp. Every sound matters. The path narrows. Vines hang like curtains. You duck under them like an actor in some slow-motion play, rifle ready, senses wired tight. You pass a tree carved with initials, someone before you trying to leave a mark. You wonder if they made it out. About 2 miles in, the squad leader throws up a fist. Everyone freezes. You hear it too. Something ahead. Not close. Not moving. Just wrong. A stillness that doesn't belong. You crouch behind a root and wait. Minutes pass. Then you see it. A glint of metal in the foliage. Just a flash. But enough. The squad leader signals to pull back. Quiet. Slow, methodical. You move like ghosts in reverse. Every footstep a prayer. Back at the perimeter, you report it. Possibly a Japanese observation post. Command nods. They've heard similar sightings lately. Nothing confirmed. The official line? Maintain patrols, stay alert. You already were. After that, patrols get longer. Deeper. Less predictable. You take turns leading. Every man gets his day walking point into the unknown with just instinct and a questionable sense of direction. Compasses help, but not much. The jungle loves to lie. Landmarks vanish. Trees shift, or seem to. You mark your trail with knife slashes in the bark. But sometimes, when you double back, the marks are gone. You stop trusting your eyes. One day, you find a clearing. Silent. Perfect circle. A burned-out camp. Maybe Japanese, maybe one of your own from weeks ago. Hard to tell. Charred crates. A rusted canteen. Bullet casings half buried in the dirt. You all stand there, quiet. No one speaks. You just feel it. Like the ground remembers something you don't want to know. The next night, the rustling returns. Not loud, just a sense. Like the earth humming under your boots. You grip your rifle tighter and scan the tree. Flares go up. Shadows dance. Nothing crosses the wire. Morning brings nothing. No footprints. No new holes in the perimeter. But the silence? It stays. You check your rifle twice. Then a third time. Just in case. And so it goes. Days blur. Patrols blend. You get good at spotting signs. Freshly broken branches. Birds suddenly quiet. Mud with extra footprints. You become part of the jungle. Or at least, you try. One morning, a new guy joins your squad. Fresh-faced. Smells like soap. Everyone stares. Nobody says it, but they're all thinking the same thing. He still thinks this is a war. Not a waiting game. You take him under your wing, sort of. Show him how to walk quieter. How to pack his gear so it doesn't clank. How to wrap socks around his mess kit to muffle the rattle. These things matter. He listens. Learns. But he asks too many questions. What's the plan? When's relief coming? Why's the jungle so quiet? You shrug. That's just how it talks. He doesn't ask much after that. Then comes the patrol with no return. A squad goes out, 12 good men. They're supposed to scout a ridge north of Henderson. They check in once over the radio, static heavy but clear. Then nothing. No calls. No return. No noise. You wait. Everyone waits. A search party goes out. They find a trail. Then it stops. No signs of a fight. No blood. Just 12 sets of boot prints. And then nothing. Vanished. Like they were plucked from the trees by the wind. The mood in camp changes. Guys stop talking at meals. They check over their shoulders more. Sleep with their helmets strapped tighter. One Marine strings tin cans around his foxhole like a makeshift alarm. Another digs his hole deeper. Says he's going underground for the duration. Nobody laughs anymore. Some scholars question whether all the disappearances were combat losses or something more chaotic. Navigation errors, jungle accidents, even friendly fire. But you don't think about that. You just double-check your sector of the perimeter and hope you're not next. You get a letter from home. Short. From your older brother, stationed in the Atlantic. Cold, but at least it's civilized, he writes. You smile. Then tear it into tiny pieces and use it to start a fire. Not because you're angry, just because the jungle eats everything eventually. Might as well get ahead of it. The jungle, meanwhile, doesn't change. Still swaying. Still singing its weird lullabies at night. Still sending frogs to sit on your boots and stare at you like they're planning something. You name one of them General Hop. He disappears 3 nights later. Probably got promoted. You start believing the island has moods. Some nights, it's restless, everything twitching and alive. Others, it goes still, like it's waiting for something bigger. A storm, a reckoning, or maybe just a really bad joke. Then the big rustling starts. Not footsteps, not scouts. This is louder, heavier. Your squad gets called to reinforce a northern sector. Reports say enemy probing, possible buildup. You march out at dusk. The jungle smells different. Not just wet earth, but something bitter, like burning rubber far away. You post up near a ridge, dig in, eyes on the tree line. Nothing. Then, just before midnight, movement. Lots of it. Branches cracking. A muffled voice, definitely not English. Then silence again. You raise your rifle. And wait. Because if Guadalcanal has taught you anything, it's that silence means the worst is coming. You don't remember deciding to fire. You just do. 1 second, the jungle is a wall of shadow. The next, it's flashing with muzzle bursts and bark exploding from trees like shrapnel. The enemy's moving fast, too fast. No war cries this time. No screaming charges. Just disciplined steps through the brush and the cold gleam of bayonets catching flare light. You're crouched behind a log you dragged here days ago. It's not much cover, but it's enough to steady your elbows. Your rifle kicks in your hands like a live thing. You fire short, controlled bursts. You don't aim at shapes. You aim at movement. They come in waves. First one squad, then another, then more, until it feels like the trees themselves are attacking. You hear shouts in Japanese, calm, coordinated. You're not calm. Your heart's trying to crack your ribs like a drum. The new guy, soap smell and all, is somewhere to your right. He's firing too, eyes wide, jaw clenched so tight you're surprised his teeth don't powder. You want to yell something encouraging, like, you're doing fine, but there's no room for that here. The gunfire's eaten all the air. You hear the clatter of a helmet hitting dirt. You don't know whose. You hear someone scream. You don't look. Then the flares burn out, and the jungle goes black. Not dark, black. Your eyes strain to adjust. Every muzzle flash blinds you anew. You fire blind too. Every shadow is a question you can't afford to get wrong. Then the Japanese break through. Not a full breach. Just a few, maybe 3 or 5, slipping past the perimeter into your foxhole line. You swing around, fire point blank at something lunging from your left. It falls. You don't see it clearly. You don't want to. Someone shouts, they're in the wire. That phrase hits harder than a bullet. The wire's supposed to be the boundary between the nightmare and the nightmare you prepared for. If they're in the wire, they're here. In your teeth, in your breath, close enough to see you flinch. Your squad leader yells something. Can't hear it over the gunfire. Might have been fall back, might have been hold fast. Either way, you drop to one knee, reload, and scan for movement. There's too much of it. Then it happens. A Japanese soldier appears 10 feet away, bayonet raised. He's not charging. He's walking toward you, steady, eyes locked on yours like he's already memorized your name. You pull the trigger. Click. Jam. You curse, a whisper that feels like a scream in your throat. You yank your sidearm, fire twice. He stumbles, drops, doesn't move. You don't check. You don't breathe. You just sit there, gun raised, hand shaking like it's caught in a breeze nobody else feels. Then the flares come back. Someone got the launcher working. The jungle lights up in harsh white snapshots. You can see them now. Not all of them, but enough. Bodies. Movement. Smoke. Dirt flying everywhere. The Japanese start pulling back. You can't tell why. Maybe they think they broke your line. Maybe they're low on ammo. Maybe they just don't want to press their luck. You don't chase. No one does. You just hold, and hold, and hold, until it's quiet again, and the jungle sighs. That's the only way to describe it. A long, slow exhale, like it's disappointed nobody won. The aftermath is mud and smoke and confusion. You do a head count. 2 missing. 1 wounded. Your sergeant, shrapnel in his leg. He waves off the corpseman like he's got somewhere to be. You respect that. You also know he's lying. He can't walk 10 feet. You find the new guy sitting by a tree, hands clamped around his helmet like it's a life raft. His face is blank. Not scared. Not angry. Just gone. You sit beside him. Don't say anything. Just pass him your last chocolate bar. He eats it in 2 bites and doesn't blink. Later, you help carry the wounded back toward camp. The trail's slick. The stars are gone. Clouds roll overhead like bruises. It smells like gunpowder and sweat and something you don't want to name. Historians still argue whether the night assaults were tactical genius or desperation. Some say the Japanese believed the Americans were already broken. Others think they knew it was suicide and came anyway, martyrs for the Emperor's dream. The truth? You'll never know. You just know that by dawn, your fingernails are packed with mud and your hands are blistered from gripping your rifle. You haven't blinked in hours. Your eyes burn. Your shoulders ache. Your soul is somewhere else, curled in a corner, waiting for permission to come back. And yet, somehow, you're still here. When the last Japanese soldier fades into the trees, you wait. 10 minutes. 20. No more whistles. No more charges. The line holds. And so do you. At sunrise, the clouds part. A shaft of light hits your trench like silent applause. You don't cheer. You don't move. You just sit there, breathing. Later, a colonel walks the line. Nods. Says, "Good work, Marines." You want to say, "We almost didn't." But you just nod back. Then the replacements arrive. Fresh uniforms, nervous eyes. You show them which foxholes are driest, which logs have thumb-sized ants. One asks, "Was it bad?" You think about lying. Then you just say, "Yeah." That night, you sleep. Not long, but real. And when the wind rustles the leaves and the frogs start singing again, you don't wake up with your hand on your rifle. You let the night pass. Just this once. The ridge is quiet. And for now, that's enough. You check the mail line again. You know it probably hasn't come. The odds are low. But still, you walk by the supply tent, give the corporal behind the makeshift desk a look, eyebrows raised. He shakes his head. Not today. You nod. No disappointment. Not anymore. After a while, you stop expecting letters to arrive on time, or at all. And if they do, they're weeks behind. Answers to questions you've forgotten. Mentions of seasons that feel like fairy tales. Still, every Marine checks. Every single one. Because even a wrinkled envelope is proof the world still exists. That someone, somewhere, knows your name and wrote it down with their own hands. You go back to your foxhole, fish out the letter you've read 32 times, and read it again. It's from your sister. She talks about the neighbor's new baby, the diner's jukebox, how dad still can't fix the screen door. Normal stuff. Precious stuff. You fold it slowly, slip it back into your breast pocket, and wonder what she'd say if she saw your screen door now. Just a poncho nailed to a palm tree with a bayonet. Later, you help your squad dig new foxholes closer to the eastern approach. You're not under direct threat, but after the ridge battle, command is nervous. Everyone is. The digging takes hours. The ground is softer than usual, easier to work, but it smells like decay. Something's been dead down there a while. You all try not to think about it. You cover your faces with rags, keep the shovels moving. The air is still. No birds, no bugs. Even the jungle seems to be holding its breath. That evening, a patrol returns late. 3 hours overdue. They stumbled into unmapped terrain, ravines and fallen trees thick with moss. Lost their bearings. Used the stars to find their way back. One of them sits down next to you and lights a cigarette with shaking hands. He doesn't speak for a long time. Then, softly, "I thought I heard singing." You don't ask for details. You don't want them. That night, it rains again. You're on watch, hunched under your poncho, watching the trees twitch. Every raindrop sounds like a footstep. You've stopped trying to tell the difference. Halfway through the shift, something buzzes past your face. Fast. Sharp. You duck. A second later, the guy next to you drops. Shot. Not fatal, shoulder hit, but sudden. Enough to send the whole line into alert. Everyone hits the dirt. Returns fire into the trees. Muzzle flashes cut through the rain. Then silence. Just one shot. Sniper. You help drag your squad mate back. Blood soaks his sleeve. He's groaning, but conscious. The corpsman works fast. Morphine, gauze, bandage. You watch the blood pool in the mud like it's trying to disappear before anyone notices. Afterward, you go quiet. Everyone does. You realize there's nowhere safe. Not the ridge. Not the perimeter. Not even the latrine. The enemy has eyes everywhere. You just hope they blink when it counts. You lie awake most of that night. The sniper's still out there. Maybe watching. Maybe gone. You stare at the same spot in the tree line for hours, convinced you see movement. You don't blink. Eventually, your eyes start watering. At dawn, command authorizes a counter-sniper patrol. 5 men. You're not picked, but you volunteer. You don't know why. Maybe you just want to hunt instead of being hunted for once. You move out just after sunrise. The jungle is slick and gray, light filtering down in weak beams. You step carefully, eyes scanning branches, hillsides, hollow logs. You find nothing, but that doesn't mean he isn't there. You return by noon, soaked and no wiser. The sniper hasn't fired again. Maybe that one shot was all he needed, just to remind you he could. Later, you sit under a tarp someone strung between two trees and chew a biscuit so dry it turns to paste in your mouth. You swallow hard, wash it down with canteen water that tastes like rust and iodine. Another guy opens a can of peaches. You stare. He sees your look, hesitates, then splits it with you. 2 chunks each. They taste like Christmas morning. As the sun sets, someone tries to start a sing-along. Not loud, just soft, half-whispered verses of old songs from home. You Are My Sunshine. Sentimental Journey. A few others you don't recognize. You mumble along, voice hoarse. It feels almost human. Almost. Then a new guy ruins it. He asks, "Do you think they know what it's like on the other side?" No one answers. Not right away, but you think about it. Do they? The Japanese in the trees. Do they feel this same damp, this same hunger, this same hollow ache when the rain won't stop? Are they wondering who you are, just like you wonder who they are? Some historians say both sides saw each other as shadows. Not real people. Not real lives. You're not sure it helped. You've seen the eyes of a man 5 feet away, lunging at you with a bayonet. You've heard his breath, felt his weight. There's nothing abstract about that. The truth? Depends who you ask. Later that night, another letter arrives. It's for the guy who got shot earlier. He can't read it, doped up on painkillers, but you tuck it into his pack for when he wakes. You wonder if it's good news. A birth, a birthday, a baseball score, something warm. You try to picture your family at dinner, arguing over mashed potatoes, laughing. You hope they're laughing. Then your shift comes. You stand, sling your rifle, head to the perimeter, boots squelching in the mud, body tired but heart still beating. The jungle hums. And tonight, so do you. A quiet song, half memory, half melody. You don't know where it came from, but it keeps you moving. Some men break. It doesn't always look dramatic. Not like the movies, where someone screams and charges into the jungle shirtless. Sometimes it's quiet. A change in the eyes. A Marine who forgets to lace his boots. One who stops cleaning his rifle. Or eating. Or starts laughing at nothing. You've seen it before. Lately, you're seeing it more. One guy in your tent, Mitchell, from Ohio, stares at the same patch of canvas every night. Doesn't speak unless spoken to. Won't meet your eyes. A week ago, he was joking about rats and writing a mock cookbook based on sea rations. Now, he just sits with his helmet in his lap, fingers twitching like they're still pulling a trigger. You try to get him to eat. He says he's not hungry. You offer him a chocolate bar. He takes it, breaks it in half, and sets one piece aside like he's saving it for someone. You let it go. Everyone handles this place differently, and some don't. Later, you hear another Marine went missing on patrol. Not ambushed, not taken, just gone. Slipped into the green like a coin dropped in a pond. Some say they saw him by the river the night before, staring into the water. Said he looked calm, like he was waiting for something. Nobody knows for sure. Nobody asks too many questions. The war has its own way of thinning the ranks. That same day, a storm tears through camp. Wind howls, trees bend, tents collapse. The supply area floods. You spend 2 hours digging trenches just to keep your gear from floating away. The jungle becomes a soup of mud and thunder. You hunker in your foxhole, poncho over your head, trying not to breathe too loud as the storm rolls through like it's inspecting you. Lightning strikes close enough to rattle your teeth. You flinch. Everyone does. Then silence. Afterward, the world smells like sulfur and wet wood. Your rifle's soaked. Your socks are a war crime. But the air feels cleaner somehow, like something passed through and didn't take you with it. In the quiet that follows, someone reads aloud from a tattered novel. Just a page. Something about a train in France. Nobody's really listening, but nobody tells him to stop. Even make-believe trains feel like salvation now. Then you hear planes. American engines. Wildcats. A squadron roaring overhead like they own the sky. You and a few others step out to watch. Necks craned. Someone yells, "Look!" In the distance, smoke. A Japanese supply barge hit near the inlet. Flaming wreckage trailing black plumes. You don't see the crew. You don't need to. The cheering dies down. Not from guilt, but gravity. The reminder that somewhere in that smoke, lives just ended. Just like that. A few men nod quietly, then go back to their tasks. There's a saying, war isn't personal. You're starting to think that's the biggest lie of all. Back at your foxhole, you dig a little deeper. Shore up the walls. Someone lends you a piece of canvas to stop the roof leaking. You trade him 2 tins of sardines. Neither of you like sardines, but they're still currency. Later, a rumor spreads. Reinforcements are coming. Supplies too. Even mail. You don't get excited. You've learned not to. But a part of you, the part that still folds socks, still writes letters you might never send, wants to believe. You clean your rifle for the 5th time this week. Not because it's dirty, but because the rhythm calms you. Strip, wipe, oil, reassemble. Each piece clicks into place like a memory you're trying to hold on to. That night, Mitchell speaks. Just one sentence. I dream about the noise. You don't ask what kind. You just nod. Then pass him your canteen. He drinks. Hands it back. Silence again. But different this time. Softer. Shared. Some historians argue the psychological toll of Guadalcanal was underestimated. That morale didn't erode. It dissolved, quietly, like sugar in rain. Others believe the stress forged something new. A hardness. A focus. The truth? Depends who you ask. Some guys come out of this clearer. Others don't come out at all. You sit up late, watching the trees. The moon is almost full. Light enough to see the shapes of branches, the slant of hills. You listen. Nothing moves. But you don't relax. Relaxing gets you killed. Instead, you hum. Same tune as last night. Still don't know where it came from. Still feels like it belongs here. A rhythm that matches the jungle. Unpredictable. Low. Constant. Someone once said war teaches you what matters. But you think it's more than that. It teaches you what doesn't. You no longer care about clean clothes. About schedules. About things like normal. You care about dry matches. About watching your buddy's back. About the guy next to you making it through the night. You care about the letter you haven't written yet. The one that starts with, "I'm still here," and ends with nothing, because you don't know how much to say. You care about the spoon in your pack. About the chocolate you're saving. About the half page of poetry someone scrawled on a ration box and tacked to the latrine wall. You memorize it, even when you don't mean to. You lie back, poncho pulled tight, eyes closed. The jungle breathes. And tonight, you breathe with it. You don't remember exactly when you stopped feeling safe in the water. Maybe it was the second week, when someone pointed out the tracks in the river mud, too large for anything you wanted to meet. Or maybe it was when a Marine went to bathe and came out screaming. Something latched onto his leg beneath the surface. It wasn't deep, but it was fast. Whatever it was. Now you wash with a tin cup from the bank. Splash and scrub. You don't linger. Nobody does. But today, the sun's relentless. The rare kind of heat where the jungle feels less like a cage and more like a sauna built by someone who hates you. Your shirt is glued to your back. Your socks could probably walk on their own. You've been patrolling all morning, and your skin itches like it's trying to escape your bones. So when you reach the river bend, a shallow spot with clear water, you pause. You scan the trees. No movement. No noise. No footprints in the mud. You wave to the guys behind you, drop your pack, and step in. Just knee-deep. Just for a minute. The cold hits like a slap. You sigh? Actually sigh? Might be the best moment you've had all week. You splash your face, fill your helmet, and dump it over your head. Someone laughs. Real, genuine. Another guy steps in. Then another. For a brief moment, you're all human again. Then the shot rings out. You freeze. Everyone does. It doesn't hit anyone. Maybe a warning. A sharp crack echoing across the water like a snapped branch amplified by fear. You drop into the river, crawl to the bank, grab your rifle, heart punching your ribs. No follow-up shot. No movement. Just that single sound. You wait. 5 minutes. 10. Still nothing. Then the whispers start. Sniper. Maybe. Maybe not. The jungle's full of noises that sound like gunfire when your nerves are frayed. Still, nobody goes back in the water. Not that day, not the next. You return to camp, soaked, muddy, furious at the island for teasing you with one breath of peace. Now the river's off limits. Officially. Too exposed, they say. Too unpredictable. You nod. Of course it is. Everything here is. Back in camp, things aren't better. The latrines are flooded again. The rats have gotten bold. One was seen dragging a biscuit tin in broad daylight. Some say it winked. You're starting to believe it. Someone tries fishing with a bent paperclip and bootlace. Catches something with too many teeth. Nobody eats it. Then there's the beach. Not what you'd call relaxing. The sand's coarse. The sun's brutal. The Japanese sometimes shell it randomly, just to remind you it's theirs too. But some Marines go anyway. They sit on crates, lean against palms, watch the surf like it's the only thing here that doesn't care about the war. One guy writes poetry. Another sketches clouds with charcoal from a burned tent pole. You walk past them once, barefoot in the sand, and for a moment, it doesn't feel like a battlefield. It feels like the edge of the world, or the beginning. Then someone screams. You run back to camp. It's Connolly, barely 18. He's covered in blood, hands shaking. Turns out it's not his. He found a body in the jungle, half buried. Old. From weeks ago, maybe. Maybe more. No one's sure whose. The medics come. The officers come. They mark the spot, retrieve the remains, wrap them in canvas without a word. That night, no one talks at dinner. You eat in silence, the canned stew heavier than usual in your gut. On watch later, you think about that body. Alone out there, hidden under vines. No dog tags. No name. Just gone. Some historians talk about the missing like statistics. So many thousand unaccounted for. But you've seen what that means. It means someone's mother never got the letter. Someone's brother still hopes. It means you wonder what would happen if you disappeared too. Would someone find your pack? Your spoon? Your letters? Would they say your name? Or would you just become another whisper the jungle swallowed? You push the thought away. Focus on the trees. Focus on the surf, distant but steady. Then you see it. A shape, small, low to the ground. Not human. A dog. Skinny. Mottled. American collar. It's Radar, the camp mutt. You haven't seen him in a week. He trots by your post, tail low, eyes tired. You call to him softly. He pauses, sniffs the air, then disappears. You smile. Just a little. Something survives out here. Back in your hole, you write another letter. You don't know what to say, so you write what you know. We're still here, still waiting. The jungle talks, but we've stopped listening. You tuck it away. No idea when it'll get sent. Maybe never. You lean back, eyes on the stars. They look the same as they did before the war. And that's the strangest comfort of all. They say help is coming. Supplies. Reinforcements. Maybe even real coffee. The rumors start soft, then spread like wildfire. A corporal heard it on the radio. A Navy officer hinted at it. A guy from another squad swears he saw crates stacked on the beach, fresh paint gleaming. You don't believe it. Not at first. Hope is dangerous here. You keep it folded small, like a letter you're not ready to read. But the next morning, you hear engines. Not the wildcat's growl, but the deep thunder of cargo planes. You and half the camp rush toward the field like kids chasing an ice cream truck. The planes land rough, bouncing once before settling onto the mud-streaked strip. Propellers kick up storms of dust and leaves. Your eyes sting, but you don't look away. Then the crates come. Real food, ammo, medical supplies, socks, clean ones, wrapped in paper. One guy actually cries. Later, when you open your ration box and see a tin of peaches, a chocolate bar, and a fresh pack of smokes, you just sit with it in your lap for a long moment, like it's too fragile to touch, like it might vanish if you blink. You pass the cigarettes around. Light up. Inhale. Exhale. The smoke is sharp, warm, dry. It tastes like civilization. Then the second wave arrives. Not crates this time, men. Fresh boots. New uniforms. Faces that haven't learned to wear dirt yet. They step off the transport wide-eyed, boots still squeaking. Some carry guitars. One has a book. A real book. You shake their hands. Nod. Slap shoulders. And say nothing. Because what do you say? Welcome to Hell's waiting room. The rules are written in mud, and the jungle bites back. Instead, you show them the dry spots, what's left of them. Point out which trees to avoid when it rains, where the snakes like to sleep. You do it like someone giving a tour of a haunted house they now call home. That night, with new gear in your pack and a stomach not entirely empty for once, you finally sleep. Deep, dreamless, but short. Because at 3:17 a.m., the siren wails. A real one, metal, shrill, jagged. You jolt awake, boots halfway on before your brain catches up. Air raid. You sprint for the trenches, rifle in hand, heart trying to tunnel out of your chest. Overhead, the sky flashes. Japanese planes, Zeros, and bombers. The airfield erupts, flak, machine gun fire, tracers arcing up like fireworks that forgot to be pretty. You crouch low, mud in your teeth, watching the sky split open. One of the new guys is crying. Softly. You don't blame him. He's curled under his helmet like a turtle praying for extinction. You nudge him closer to the wall. He nods, teeth chattering. The bombs start falling. Not on you, thankfully. The far side of Henderson takes the hit. But the noise punches your ribs. Then a bomber gets clipped. You all watch as it spirals, trailing smoke like a dying comet. It curves out to sea and vanishes behind the trees. No parachutes. When it's over, you crawl out slowly. The field's a mess. Burnt crates, a crater near the fuel drums, one plane burning. But the runway stands. And so do you. Someone says the pilots hit a Japanese barge earlier. This was payback. The officers call it a strategic trade. You call it a long damn night. The next morning, the replacements get their first briefing. You stand nearby, pretending not to listen. But you are. And you see their faces. The way they flinch at enemy movements. The way their hands hover over their rifles, unsure. You remember being them. Clean. Nervous. Thinking war would look like the newsreels. It doesn't. It looks like soggy boots and your best friend puking from fear before patrol. It looks like shadows moving wrong in the trees. Like chocolate bars becoming sacred. Like writing, "I'm fine" on a postcard while your foxhole floods. But you don't say any of that. They'll learn. Later, your squad patrols the southern ridge. Not combat, just a presence patrol. Make sure they know we're watching. The sun's brutal. You hike uphill through thorns and tangled brush. Everything smells like rust and mold. Your boots are finally giving out. One sole flaps like a broken tongue. You crest the hill and set up. Nothing happens. For once. You sit in the dirt, sip warm canteen water, and pull out your letter pad. You write, slowly. Things are changing here. Supplies came. New guys too. It feels strange. Like we're part of something again. Not just ghosts in the trees. You pause. Think. Then add. But I still check the shadows. On the way back, you pass a tree with 3 marks carved deep in the bark. Japanese. Maybe a name. Maybe a date. You stare at it a long time. Someone else slept here once. Fought here. Maybe died here. The jungle doesn't care who. That night, you're on watch again. But the air feels lighter. Just a little. The frogs are back. The moon's out. Radar. The dog trots past your post and curls up by a supply crate like he owns the place. You don't say anything. You just sit beside him. Both of you listening. Both of you waiting. For what? You're not even sure anymore. But for the first time in a long time, you let yourself imagine that one day, maybe soon, you might actually leave this island. And it won't follow you. It starts with a whisper. A rumor passed through 3 squads, 2 radio operators, and 1 over-caffeinated cook. We're pushing forward. No more holding the ridge. No more waiting for the jungle to decide who breaks first. This time, the fight moves away from Henderson, westward, into enemy territory. You don't cheer. Not really. The idea of a final push sounds good on paper. But paper doesn't sweat. Paper doesn't march 12 miles through waist-high ferns with 80 pounds of gear. Paper doesn't bleed. Still, you feel it. Something shifted. Maybe the balance. Maybe morale. Maybe just the relief that someone, somewhere, finally decided we hit them first this time. You pack what's left of your gear. Ammo, poncho, your last good pair of socks. You say a quiet goodbye to your foxhole. Not because you liked it, but because you survived it. You march out at dawn, boots squelching, rifles swaying. The new guys march too. They try to look like they know what's coming. You say nothing. Let them have that. They'll learn soon enough. The trail gets rough. Real rough. Gnarled roots grab at your ankles like skeletal fingers. Insects kamikaze into your face. Sweat rivers down your back. At one point, you see a centipede the length of your forearm scuttle across a fallen tree and vanish into the moss. The deeper you go, the more the jungle closes in. It's not just vegetation, it's pressure. Like walking into a room where someone just had a very quiet argument. You feel watched again. After hours, you reach the staging area. Just a flat spot ringed by thickets. Some Marines dig shallow pits. Others set up mortars. You drop your pack, rub your shoulders, and drink half your canteen in one go. Mistake. You'll regret that later. The orders are simple. Advance. Engage. Clear the ridgeline. Hold until relieved. Which means, get in there, push them back, and stay alive long enough for someone else to take over. You move out just past noon. The heat is brutal. Not just hot, hostile. The kind that sits on your chest and reminds you you're flesh. Fragile. Temporary. Every few steps, someone stops to scan the trees. Movement. A trick of light. You've learned the difference between a leaf fluttering and a rifle barrel is about a quarter second and a lifetime. Then it begins. A twig snaps. A flash in the trees. The pop 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 of gunfire echoing like firecrackers in a canyon. Your unit drops low. You roll behind a tree. Mud sprays your face. Your rifle comes up on instinct. You see them now. Japanese troops, moving through the underbrush with terrifying precision. No screaming charge. Just methodical bursts. Careful steps. Tight formation. You fire. So do they. Everything becomes noise and muzzle flashes and bark exploding from tree trunks. You crawl forward, flanking right. Someone yells, "Grenade," and the jungle erupts behind you. The new guy, Carter, from Iowa, is breathing fast, eyes wide. You grip his shoulder. He nods, keeps moving. 10 minutes pass, then 20, maybe more. Time warps in combat. Every second stretches until it snaps. Eventually, you push them back. They retreat, silent, melting into the green like ghosts. You hold position, panting, sweat mixing with gunpowder on your skin. You reload slowly, deliberately, hands trembling just enough to notice. You've taken the ridge, but it cost something. 3 wounded, 1 gone. A corporal with shrapnel in his leg, whispering prayers to no one. A radio operator who took a round to the thigh and won't stop joking about finally getting some rest. You help dig in. Same routine. Sandbags. Firing lines. Tripwires. You're good at this now. Too good. As night falls, you light a small fire, just for warmth. No smoke. You share a can of beans with 2 others. They talk about home. One describes snow. The other, baseball. You don't speak much. Just listen. Later, on perimeter watch, you find something half buried under a tree root. A torn page from a Japanese diary. You can't read it, but the handwriting is neat. Careful. Someone's thoughts. Someone's life. Now just paper in the dirt. You fold it gently and tuck it into your pocket. A reminder. They're human too. Some historians debate whether this final push truly turned the tide, or just made the attrition less one-sided. Some say it was strategy. Others say luck. The truth? Depends who you ask. You know what it felt like. It felt like survival made visible. Like holding on so tight the jungle finally blinked. At dawn, the fog lifts. And for the first time, you see it. The ocean. Just a sliver. Far away. But blue. Real. Moving. You point it out to the guy next to you. He smiles like he's just seen a miracle. And maybe he has. You sit on the ridge, rifle across your knees, and watch sunlight dance on the waves. It's the first time in months you've thought about after. What it might feel like to sleep in a bed that doesn't move with the wind. What it might feel like to be a person again. But for now, you're still here. And the jungle, quiet for once, seems to know it. The orders come over the radio in clipped phrases. Prepare for withdrawal. That's it. No fanfare. No ceremony. Just a flat voice confirming what you've been too tired to hope for. The fight for Guadalcanal is almost over, and you, somehow, are still here to see it. You sit on a log for a long time after that, just processing. You expected this moment to feel louder, to come with cheers, or a bugle, or something more final than a corporal with a clipboard checking names. But no, it's quiet. Just the jungle breathing, same as always. You pack slowly, methodically, like you're afraid to jinx it. Ammo first. They'll need that for the guys replacing you. Then your poncho, your one dry sock, folded carefully. Your letters, your spoon, the Japanese diary page, now smudged and soft from your pocket. You leave behind your foxhole, your campfire ring, the crude bench someone made from a crate and a bayonet sheath. You stare at them like you're walking away from a part of yourself. Because you are. The hike to the beach is surreal. You move in columns, same as when you arrived. But now, everything feels lighter. The jungle, though still vast and watching, seems to exhale as you pass. Like it's letting you go, or maybe just waiting for the next batch. The replacements nod as you file by, eyes wide. You don't say much. What could you say? Good luck? Watch for snakes. Try not to become a ghost. You keep walking. And then, finally, the boats. Actual boats. Gray-painted, smelling like oil and metal and safety. You board with numb hands, heart beating slow and heavy. You don't look back. Not yet. The boat pulls away from shore, cutting a clean line through the water. You feel it in your legs, the shift from solid ground to swaying deck, from war to whatever comes next. Only then do you turn and look. Guadalcanal doesn't wave goodbye. It just sits there, silent and green, its hills softened by distance, its ridges hidden by trees. It doesn't care that you're leaving. It never did. But you care. Because every drop of sweat, every night spent listening for footsteps, every hour wondering if that shadow was real, those moments are etched into you now. They won't leave just because you did. As the shoreline shrinks behind you, something inside unclenches. Relief, yes, but also grief. Not just for the ones who didn't make it, but for the person you were when you arrived. That guy's gone now. In his place is someone quieter. Someone who can spot a sniper's glint at 100 yards. Someone who can thread a wire trap by touch. Someone who knows 5 types of rain just by how they smell. You close your eyes. Let the wind hit your face. Let the engine's hum soothe your nerves. And you start to let go. Slowly, gently. You remember the nights you whispered to the trees. The songs you hummed to yourself. The first chocolate bar after resupply. The weight of a hand on your shoulder during the worst of it. You remember laughter, even in the madness. You remember Radar, the dog, chasing butterflies through camp. You remember hope, folded small like a letter in your pocket. You let it all rise. Then, as the boat speeds toward the horizon, you finally exhale. Long and slow, the way you couldn't when you were there. The war's not over. Not for the world. Not even for you. But this chapter, this jungle, this fight, that part is done. And now, it's time to carry it. Not as a burden, not as a curse, but as a story, one you'll never fully tell. Because no matter how many times someone asks what it was like, you'll always pause and say, you had to be there. The boat rocks gently, the sea stretching endless in every direction. The sun dips low, painting the sky in soft pastels, peach, gold, lavender. You sit in the shadow of a cargo net, legs dangling, boots still caked in mud that refuse to wash away. The breeze is cool, kind. Somewhere behind you, cards shuffle. Someone strums a guitar that hasn't been in tune since boot camp. It all blends with the rhythm of the waves. Your shoulders relax. Your grip loosens. Your breath evens out. And for the first time in what feels like forever, you let yourself rest. No watch to stand. No shadows to study. No enemy waiting just beyond sight. Just the steady pulse of the ocean beneath you, the engine's warm hum, and the quiet knowledge that, against all odds, you made it out. The stars begin to appear, one by one, like old friends peeking through a curtain. You lie back against your pack, arms folded, and watch them. The war will continue elsewhere. Other battles, other nights. But not this one. Not for you. Tonight, you sleep. Not because it's safe, but because you're free. Even if just for now. So close your eyes, Marine. You're far from the jungle now. Let the tide carry you. Let the dark be gentle. Let yourself drift.